So, good day everybody. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Angelo Mekenkamp and I'm working for PwC. I've worked for it for over 4 years, where I'm mainly working on Identity now called Identity Security Cloud, or ISC. So, tomorrow I'm going to give a session about dormant accounts and how to detect and manage those. But I was asked by SailPoint if I wanted to give a second presentation. And while thinking about what could a topic be, I thought of 3 separate topics that would be very small. So we decided to just combine those together and have a miscellaneous talk where we have several topics regarding Identity Security Cloud. So the agenda would be the following. We are first going to take a look at email templates, going to see how can we suppress Identity Security Cloud from sending them for specific identities. Then in the next topic, we are going to take a look at the UI changes that we can make, some minor changes that we are able as a developer ourselves to perform, to enhance and quicken our work. And finally, we are going to have a discussion about identity attributes. What does it mean for something to be an identity attribute, and how can we use this in a certain way? So without further ado, let's start with the email templates, where I'm just straight going to demo it. So the use case that we have here is as follows. We have a client that operates in multiple countries. And let's say that the United States is already live. The end users have been trained, they know about Identity Security Cloud, and they are happy to start working here. So they should receive emails whenever there's an access request, certification, or any of those good stuff. But we also have a company, an organization that is based in the Netherlands. And they have not been trained yet. They are not using it yet. And even though we have them as identities in our platform, for example, because we are silently creating Active Directory accounts, we actually don't really want them to receive any emails, as that might surprise them, confuse them. They are not aware of this system at this point. So let's see how we can use Identity Security Cloud for this. So here I am right now logged in as an admin, and I can go to global and email templates, where we can see all the email templates that we have and that Identity Security Cloud can send. And if you go to settings, we can see that it is possible to send all emails to the intended recipients, which you usually do in production, where all the emails should be sent. Or you can choose to send it to a test address, which you usually do in a sandbox environment. However, this is kind of an all or nothing situation. We can't say from here that the United States employees should receive emails and the Dutch employees should not receive emails. So this will not do for us so far. And what we can then do is take a look at some documentation that SailPoint has provided. So let's go to documentation.sailpoint.com, and then we go to admin help and email notifications, and here about using email templates. And if we look at this page, we already see at the bottom, disable email notifications, which triggers us because that is a part of what we need to do. And what it is mentioning here is that you can use one of these keywords in front of your subject in the header to ensure that that email template is not getting sent. However, here again, it is an all or nothing kind of situation, but then per email template. We want an email template, a certain email to be sent to the United States. So, in order to get an additional part, we can take a look at the top again, where it is being written here that all email templates are defined using the Apache velocity logic. And this allows us to have some if-else conditionings. So that's something that we are going to do now. So I'm here in an email template, and I will take one. Let's take this one. And right now, if I would hit test email, it wants to send it to me, but I treat this one as a sandbox, so it's going to forward it to an email inbox that I have set up for today, for this demo, and you can see that this email has just arrived. However, my identity, if I go to identities, and then to the one that I'm logged in as right now, I've set up a custom identity attribute for that called mail setting, as you can see here, and right now this is set as block. And it actually gets populated through a transform. So in Postman, we can take a look at transforms. And if I take a look at this specific one, where we use the mail setting one, we are taking a look at the country. And if it's the Netherlands, we want to block it. If it's the United States, we want to allow it. And we can see here that the UK is also blocked at this moment. This is just an example on how to use it. You can base it on country or anything else to set up it where we want to just have an output allow or block. And so we want to change it to ensure that when I send this test email, that I will not receive it. And right now we can see that it will be sent. So what I'm going to do here is in the topic, in subject, I will now for now use just stop, and I'll hit save, send it with a test email. Remember, you have to first click save, and only then you are able to test it. So I've done that, and I see that if I go back to this page, that I haven't received a new email, which makes sense. I just added stop in here, but it should be conditionally. So therefore, we are going to use the Apache velocity logic, add an if statement, and if that is the case, we are going to say stop, and then we are simply going to end the statement like this. Then we need to know what should be in the if statement. Well, here we can see, for example, dear user.name, that we can get these variables. And this is something that we want to do here as well. So in here, I'm going to add the user. But instead of name, we can refer to other identity attributes, including the custom ones. So I'm going to use the mail setting identity attribute. And let's see, this looks all good. So I'm going to save it. And I'm hitting test email. Success, your test email has been sent. It always says that, by the way. So now we can wait for a bit, but we will notice that this email is not getting sent. So it looks that our conditional system is working, but to be fully sure, we also need to check what happens if it is not blocked, but if we want to allow it. So let's say I'm now going to update that transform. We have trained the the Dutch employees as well, and from now on we can also allow them. So I'm going to click allow here in the update transform. Allow, and for now I will keep the UK as blocked. I'll hit send, and we can see that the transform has been updated, but the identity attribute is not being refreshed automatically. We do need to either wait for an identity refresh, which can become done in a scheduled way, but I want to have it already. So in order to get that, I will go to my identity, and I want to process the identity. However, in the UI, it is not possible to process your own identity. There is the option is grayed out. So it's not possible through the UI, but we can still do that through the API. So let me just go here to the API where I'm going to hit process with my identity ID. It's going to be accepted. And if I now go to the get identity API, I will see that now the mail setting is allow. So this allows me to test the other option. So I'm back here. Now it's going to be allow. Let's see. I have forgotten here to add something. I should actually check here on the condition equals block. Otherwise, it's just checking if it is a value or not. So let me just put this as block for now. I'm going to save it and test it. It has been sent, is what it says, and I can see that it has arrived. And that is because I've turned it as allow right now. So to show that it is it's really blocking, I have to go back here once more, update my transform, saying never mind, the Dutchies are still blocked for now. So I'll update it here in the body block, and I'll go hit save. There we go. I will once again process the identity, get the identity. Let's see, right now it still says allow, so let me just refresh once more. Yeah, perfect. The process has been finished and it is blocked again. So I can go once more to this stage and hit test email. And now I can see that the email is not being sent. I don't receive a new one. So indeed, when it's blocked, we suppress it, and when it is allowed, the mail goes through. So this allows us to then go to the security settings and then really say that it can go through to all the intended recipients. So once more to, let's see, global email templates settings. And then we can turn this on if it would be production, and it will indeed only get sent to the ones that we want. There's one other thing that I want to show here in the email templates, and that is that if we have another email template. Let's take the one here called work reassignment created. I'm going to edit here, and you see that I already have this logic in here. If I'm now going to test it, and remember that my identity right now has block, so we do expect it from not getting sent, but actually we see in the email that it does get sent. This has to do with the fact, if you go to the documentation again, that specific email template is a, let's see, available email templates. That there are version 1 and version 2 email templates. The version 2 templates have a couple of newer email templates, and they don't have the user variable, and therefore we can't get the mail setting custom identity attribute from it. It does have recipient, but this one has name, ID, email, and phone, so the newer email templates are not possible to use this functionality for, at least not yet. You can maybe check with the customer success manager if this is going to be changed in the future, but for now you have to be careful for those specific ones. Only if they have version 1 email templates, then it does allow us to see the user with any identity attribute, as we can see here. So that is one topic. So let me now go to, so we do have this discrepancy disclaimer, as I mentioned. Version 1, that it is working, and for version 2, it is not working. So now we go to the second topic, which is the minor UI changes. And for that, I will demo again and go back to the UI, and I will go to search. And what happens sometimes as a developer is that there's something going on and I want to inspect it, and I start with a search. Right now I'm just going to search for, let's say, name contains the word developer. I have a couple of roles created for the developer days, like these ones. And I want to take a look at some of them. So I want to edit the roles, for example. So what I can do in order to achieve that is click on it. Then I have here the role name. So I'm going to select it, click away. Then I can open an admin portal, go there, go to access, go to roles, paste it. And only now am I able to click the edit button. And for me, that's slowing the process a little bit down. I want to immediately click it and have it open in a new tab. And for that, we are going to need to have a link here. And this is not only for roles the case, but I also want to have it for the other objects that are viewable. So the identities list, access profiles, entitlements, etc. The events and account activity don't have such a thing. So for these four, I prefer to have links in here. So that's something that we are going to build now. And for that, what we can do in Chrome, but there are probably also solutions for other browsers, if we can go to extensions, then manage extensions, and here I will hit TemperMonkey, which is an extension that I'm going to use here. Right now I've got it already installed, but otherwise you can click on install here. And once you have done that, you can click on extensions in the top right corner, hit TemperMonkey, and then go to dashboards. And this allows us to start with a script. So I'm going to click the plus icon to start a new script. And I'll simply copy this and go to my VS Code, which is over here, like this. And here I'm going to populate this with logic that allows me to inject that link. What we first need to do is to have a selector. So let me just define that. I'm going to have an identity selector where I need to know which div, which object do I need to have to change it on. So if I go to the identity portal, I can go to the developer console, select this element, let's say John Smith here, and this is the value that I need and that I need to extract using the selector. Well, when inspecting this, I can see that it has call ID identities : display name, which is something that really resembles that particular thing, and it also says role is grid cell. And this is one that I'm interested in. So let's go back to the code here, and here I'm going to specify this selector. So we are going to have give me all divs where the call ID is equal to identities : display name, as we saw. And in addition, we want to also have the fact that the role should equal to grid cell, as we saw. It was a bit checking out what would work here, but this is the ones that I've done. And now I have my selector ready, and then I need to have an action. What should I do on it? Well, I want to add a link here. So I'm going to say identity action and define this as a function. Let's see, let me just close this one. It thinks that it's PHP right now, I'm not sure, so I will put it back to JavaScript. There we go, such that it can show me this. So I have a function. There we go. I'm not going to give it a name, and there are no parameters in here necessary, since it's going to be called on an object itself. And what we want to do here is to, first of all, name the div, ensure that we got it back, and that's actually the jQuery object, this. And once we have done that, we want to wrap this div in a link tag, which is an A tag that we can create here. So A and close A, where here we want to give a specific link. And for the identities, I actually want to have, let's see if I have it open, this one. This is the page where I want to go to, so I'm just going to copy this URL and paste it in the script, like this. Except this ID, that's going to be a, let me just do it a little bit different. I'm just going to remove this whole thing and just mark it as a link, like this. Now it's easily readable. We just have to define link, and that's what we can do here. So I'm going to say const link equals, and then I'm going to have that URL here, where the source ID, that is dependent on the specific div, and that's going to be a variable. I'm just calling it ID for now. And also this whole URL thing, that's dependent on the tenant. We are not interested in that right now. It can be a variable, which is going to be window.location.origin, such that we automatically get this value back. This ID we also have to define here. So I'm going to say const ID equals, and now we need to figure out how can we get that ID. And we actually can find that in the HTML, because this field itself, it doesn't have that ID, but on top of it, we can see the parent, which is the whole row, and there it has row ID equals and a number, and that number is exactly matching with the identity ID, and for the role, it is the role ID. So that's the one that we can grab. So I'm going to say, of the div, give me the parent, and of that parent, give me the attribute that is called row ID. And then we have that. So we have our selector and our action, and now we want to just call it saying detect changes, where I will give my identity selector as a parameter and my action as well, like this. We just have to ensure that we are also defining this method, and we want to do that on top here. So I'm going to say detect changes, which is a constant. Const detect changes equals, and now we want to have it as a function, selector action. There is some need to know a little bit about JavaScript and jQuery here to get this created. And this method or this function should then do something repeatedly. So I'm going to set an interval, and let's see, I can do this one. Such that I already get this code. And the interval asks me how often should I do this. Preferably I would do it every second, but I'm going to, for the demo purposes, use it every 3 seconds, so 3000 milliseconds, to ensure that it is working. And then here we need to know what should we do. Well, we should grab any div that satisfies our selector that we have given. And once we have done that, we should loop over them, and on each of those, we are going to perform the action that we have defined. And one thing that you might now wonder is, yeah, okay, but if we add that link, and 3 seconds later, are we going to add that link again? Well, that's something that we don't want, so we just need to have one more if condition here, which is going to say that if the div dot has the A attribute in it already, and this gives an array, so I want to have the length of it, and if it is empty, then we know that it's a new one that we really need to add the link to. So I'm going to put the action of adding that link in here, like this. Let's knead it up a bit. Okay, and it already is looking pretty neat right now. I can remove this part, and also I'm going to add the same logic for roles in here, but for that I have my code already, and I'm going to copy it. It's basically the same thing. There are just some minor things that instead of identities display name, it will be roles name and things like that. So then there are just some things that I need to do at the top here. I'm going to give it a name. So let's call it Developer Days 2024. Add links to search. And let's see. This will add links to search. Can be whatever you want. The author, which is me. My name is Angelo Mekenkamp. Nice to meet you. And here we are going to say when to match it. And we don't want this script to run on each page that we are visiting. It should only be for this particular page right here. So I'm going to copy this URL and I will paste it here. But I actually want it to work on every environment. As a developer working for different tenants, different customers, it would be nice if this is working everywhere. So I'm making this as a star. Right now I'm just focusing on identitynow.demo, but you can remove that. You can add another match if you like. And also this part I'm going to make as a star. And what we also need to do is, because in this script we are using jQuery and this $sign, so we do need to specify that in here and declare that we are going to use this. So I'm going to say that we have some globals, actually just one, and that is going to be the $sign. And in addition, we do need to send a require statement like this. And I'm not interested in the icon. So I think it all looks good, and we can test this. So I'm going to copy this back to TemperMonkey in here. Control A and Control Replace. And let's save it. And we can see here that it is enabled. We can click on it if we want to view it again. But right now I'm going back to search. And the first time you always have to save it to ensure that it is, to refresh it, to ensure that it is here. And now I'm going to hit star, saying give me everything. And a moment of truth, and perfect. We can see now that this display name has been changed and everyone has a link now. I can also do that to roles. And also here, there are links now. And if I make it bigger, for example, we can see that the link is disappearing because Identity Now is refreshing it. It adds it back, but because we do this every 3 seconds, we detect it again, we are adding that link back. And now what I can do with my scroll button is just click on those. So let's see, Cody, Jane, John. And with my scroll button, it opens it in a new tab. You can even make it such that it opens it in a new tab directly, but I leave that up to you. And now we see that we have Cody, we have Jane, and we have John. So now as a developer, I have a quick link that will easily allow me to get these values. This is just an example. I already told SailPoint about this, and they were quite interesting to just have this directly available already, such that this script is not needed. But I've been using this for a year already, and it's pretty neat. And we can also do this for other things. Maybe you're making an access request, and as soon as it says request completed, you want a button that it says go to my requests to view that status. Or there are also other minor tweaks or links that you want to add that you want to have quickly, then you can build it yourself if you not have a way like TemperMonkey to use. But there are alternatives to TemperMonkey as well. So that is the second topic. And then we go to the last one, which is slightly quicker, which is going to discuss identity attributes. What is an identity attribute? Well, if I go to admin and to identity profiles, we can take a look at, let's say, take the employee's identity profile, where we can have our mappings. And in the mappings for each identity attribute, we can determine how to populate this. And we have a full list here. We can even add our own identity attributes if we want, like we have done here with my custom identity attribute. And we see here, then these are the identity attributes. But we can also see the identity attributes in a different way. So let me, for example, go to Postman, and I'm going to beta/identity attributes to see all the identity attributes. And what this is a full one-on-one match with what we are seeing in the UI. So all of the ones are visible here as well. But what we also can do is go to beta/identity/ and then the ID of someone. I'm taking my own one. So if I call this, I see my own identity with some values, including the attributes. And we see our identity attributes here. We have got country, we've got first name. We also have that mail setting that we saw earlier. However, we also see other values here, like cloud authoritative source, which was not on the other list. We also see cloud status, which determines whether you are already registered in Identity Security Cloud, when you have logged in already or not. Maybe it could be pending, disabled, unregistered, or active. And this cloud authoritative source. So then I wonder, is this also an identity attribute? And in order to figure this out, I can go to search like this, and I will hit attributes, click on this, and then I can click on all my identity attributes. So we have country, for example, cloud lifecycle state, but I'm not seeing that cloud authoritative source. But I am interested in that, so let's just search for it. I see I already have it in the recent searches. I'm searching for this, and I now see all the identities from a particular cloud authoritative source. So in search, it does recognize that attribute, even though it's not visible in here. But now I was wondering, okay, but can we use this elsewhere as well? So what we can do is go to admin, access, and roles. Because what I want to do is have a role where I'm going to say everybody who is from a particular identity profile. For example, I have an identity profile for Identity Now admins. I have an identity profile for employees or contractors. Let's say all the employees should have certain access. So that's something that I want to build on that. So if I just creating a role, dev days 2024, and I go to define assignment, I can have criteria where I'm saying it should be an identity attribute, and I can write down country, but I can't write down cloud authoritative source. It's not here. But if I take it as country, I'm saying equals, and then that value that I had before. Let's take this one, for example. I can still save it. And then it was updated. I have my role ID, which I'm going to copy and then take a look at it in the API. Give me this specific one. And then here I can see that it is indeed saying attribute country equals to this value. And now what I want to do is I'm going to update the country to cloud authoritative source, such that I'm actually going to get this value. I'm not going to do that right now in the patch, because if you, it is possible in a patch in the way like I have here, replace membership, and then we have our criteria, and instead of country, you can just update it to cloud authoritative source. But after you have done that, you need to refresh it again and ensure that those roles are there. So I've already populated this in another role, which I can show you here. Developer days, birthright employees. So give access to identities with authoritative source employees. So here under define assignment, we can see that it is here because it was added through the API. However, the UI does not recognize this value. So if I, for example, change this in here and I can save it, then it says attribute does not exist. So it doesn't allow me to do this through the UI, but I can do this through the API. So if I now just discard this, and I will once again go to this role, but now I'm saying view details, and I see the identities, then what we have here are all the identities from that employee's source and not from the Identity Now admin's source. So it's not working on the front end, but on the back end, you can see that it's working exactly as we want, which allows us to do something like this. In addition, I also have one for the registered identities. Let's go here, define assignment. I have cloud status equals active. And if I then go to the registered identities, I can see that I have 4, a couple of accounts that I have myself and the one from Colin, and which is exactly matching with, if you go to identities, add the status in here, then we can see that there are indeed 4 active, and those are the ones that are showing up. So we can also create a role and say it's going to be assigned to any identity that has already logged in into Identity Security Cloud, which might trigger some kind of JIT provisioning IDs that you can do. Once you have logged in, then we are going to provision access for you. This is also something that's possible in segments. I'm not going to show that right now, but we can have here edit segment, where we can go here and see that in order to define it, it here says undefined, but in the API it is working. So that's something that I wanted to show you here. There are different ways to if you just peek into the code, see what is happening, you can maybe through the API find more functionalities than through the UI that can help you in your use cases.